Each morning is a rebirth, a blank page, a chance to decide who you will be today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. When I rise with the sun, I don't wake up with chaos, noise, or distraction. I wake up with intention, sharp, quiet, and fully present. Many believe discipline begins in the gym. I tell you, it begins the moment your eyes open. It begins with your first breath, your first thought, your first movement. And if you master that beginning, if you own your morning in silence, you will no longer be ruled by the world. You will command it. The world doesn't need to see your morning. It's not for them. It's your hidden edge, your private ceremony of strength. Most people open their eyes and fall into the same patterns. I open mine and break them. Because every morning is a chance to sharpen the blade before the battle even begins. Now listen closely. These are the habits that forged my mind like water and my spirit like steel. If you want to transform, not just survive, but live with precision and power, then begin here. 1. Wake before the world moves. If you rise with the sun, you rise with purpose. But if you rise before it, you rise with control. This is the difference between someone who reacts to life and someone who leads it. When you wake early, before the noise of the world begins, before the phones buzz, before the horns honk, before other people's demands start pulling at your mind, you give yourself a rare gift: silence. And in that silence, there is power. In that silence, there is clarity. You see, most people wake up and fall into movement without direction. They check messages before checking in with themselves. They rush out the door before grounding their energy. But a warrior is different. A warrior doesn't start the day in chaos. He starts in command. In those quiet early hours, there are no arguments, no expectations, no distractions, only stillness. And that stillness is your training ground. That's where I shaped my awareness. I didn't need loud music or alarms to jolt me awake. I let the silence sharpen me. I let the stillness teach me. When you wake early, not just for productivity, but for presence, you begin to notice the things others miss. Your breathing, the rhythm of your heart, the tension in your body, the thoughts trying to slip in. All of it becomes visible. And once you can see it, you can master it. A warrior moves before the enemy. In life, your enemy is not a man with a sword. It's distraction, doubt, hesitation. If you sleep until the world pulls you up, you're already late, already off balance. But if you rise on your own terms, in silence, with awareness, you begin the day ahead of the noise, ahead of the pressure, ahead of the world. So wake before the world moves. Not to do more, but to feel more, to see clearly, to be ready. Own that first hour, and the rest of the day will obey you. 2. Practice moving meditation. Before I trained with intensity, I trained with intention. My morning did not begin with violence or sweat. It began with awareness, quiet, graceful, and controlled. I practiced what many call moving meditation, not because it was trendy or spiritual, but because it allowed me to connect my body to my mind, and both to the present moment. When I woke up, I didn't rush into the world like a man running from something. I moved slowly and deliberately through stretching, light movement, or forms like Tai Chi. You see, movement does not always need to be fast to be powerful. Some of the most profound transformations begin in slowness, in silence. Moving meditation is not about burning calories. It's about becoming fully conscious of how your body feels, how your breath flows, and how your spirit responds to every gesture. When you walk, walk with attention. When you stretch, feel the tension leaving your body. When you move your arms, do it like every inch matters. This is not just physical, it's spiritual, because it teaches you to listen. Most people move without knowing they're moving. They live in autopilot. They brush their teeth, eat their breakfast, put on their clothes, and their mind is already 10 steps ahead or stuck in yesterday. But when you practice moving meditation, you bring yourself back into the now. And that is where true strength lives, in the now. Tai Chi taught me that power is not always in the strike, but in the space between. That tension is not something to fight, but to guide, to feel, and to dissolve. When I flowed through each movement, I wasn't just training my body, I was disciplining my attention. I was refining my ability to stay calm, focused, and centered, even while in motion. In battle or in life, if your mind is scattered, your strength is wasted. But if your body and mind move as one, you become unstoppable. That's why I began my mornings with movement, not chaotic, rushed motion, but slow, grounded presence. It was my way of reminding myself that I am not here to chase the world. I am here to lead it with grace, with awareness, and with complete command over myself. So I ask you, when you move tomorrow morning, will you rush blindly? Or will you flow with purpose? Practice moving meditation, and your day will no longer control you. You will control it from the inside out. 3, train the breath like a weapon. Before I threw a single punch, I trained my breath. Before I struck with speed or power, I mastered stillness in the lungs. Because breath is not just survival, it is control. It is energy. It is life itself. If you do not command your breath, your emotions will command you. Your fears will command you. And when the moment of pressure comes, you will collapse, and not from weakness of body, but from instability of spirit. Each morning, I sat in silence enough to meditate for peace, but to train for war. I closed my eyes and inhaled with full awareness deep into the diaphragm. Slow and steady. I would hold, then release with equal focus. Not 10 times, not 20, as many times as it took until my body obeyed and my mind stopped racing. Why? Because the breath is the first bridge between thought and action, between chaos and clarity. Most people breathe unconsciously shallow, quick, and distracted. That kind of breath creates anxiety. It sends signals to your nervous system that you are under attack even when you are not. It floods your body with tension, clouds your thinking, and pulls you into reactive states. That's why people snap, panic, or freeze. Their breath has betrayed them. But when you control your breath, you control your state. You become the eye of the storm, calm, aware, unshaken even when life is throwing chaos at you. That's what made me dangerous. Not just the speed of my hands, but the stillness of my breath behind them. I trained my breath to stay slow under pressure, in sparring, in pain, in public. I could smile, stay focused, and remain precise, because I never lost the anchor of my breath. That's why I say, do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. That strength begins with breathing through difficulty, not escaping it. So when you wake up, don't just check your phone or rush to move. Sit still. Inhale deeply. Exhale fully. And become aware. Feel where the breath goes. Is your body tense? Is your mind racing? Use the breath to soften those edges. This is not a ritual. This is not relaxation. This is your preparation for every meeting, every challenge, every decision you will face. Discipline your breath, and you discipline your emotions. Discipline your emotions, and you become the master of your reactions. And when you are no longer ruled by reaction, you become what most are not, dangerous in silence. So remember this, your breath is not background. It is your foundation. Train it like a weapon and carry it like a shield. 4. Journal the inner warrior's mind. Most people go through life unaware of what controls them. They act, they react, but they don't understand why. They wake up with emotions they never investigate, thoughts that run wild, stories that repeat. But a warrior does not allow his mind to become a mystery. He studies it, he writes it, he faces it directly. That is why I wrote every morning. Not to be a writer, but to be clear. I called it my private training. Not for the body, but for the inner battlefield. Because I knew if I didn't understand what I was thinking and feeling, those hidden forces would control me when it mattered most. In a fight, in a conversation, in life, if your mind is clouded, your actions will be weak. Each morning, I took time to journal, not in perfect grammar, not for others to read, but to capture what was inside. I asked myself questions. What am I feeling right now? Is this emotion truer just a leftover from yesterday? What do I want from today, and what must I let go of? This kind of reflection requires honesty, brutal honesty. You must be willing to look at yourself without excuses, without ego. And when you do, something incredible happens. The fog lifts. You begin to see clearly what was buried, your fears, your patterns, your strengths, your lies. You become your own mirror. Sometimes I would write about discipline. Other times about my struggles, my doubts, my vision. I wrote not to escape, but to focus. I wrote to take responsibility for every thought in my head. Because if you don't take responsibility for them, they will take control of you. And in a world that constantly tries to distract you, your journal becomes your anchor. Do not underestimate this habit. A pen and paper can be more powerful than a sword if used with awareness. Your mind is a garden. Each morning, you must pull the weeds, clear out what no longer serves you, reinforce the thoughts that strengthen you, and plant seeds for the kind of warrior you want to become. So if you truly want to master yourself, don't just train your body, train your inner world. Sit down, be still, and write. Not to look good, not to impress, but to know yourself fully. Because once you understand your inner battlefield, no external enemy can shake you. You become calm under fire, clear in chaos, unshakable even when the world is falling apart. And that is the mind of a true martial artist, disciplined, examined, and deeply alive. 5. Visualize victory in stillness. Before the fight ever begins, the warrior has already won or lost in his mind. That is why I practiced visualization every morning in silence, with discipline. I didn't leave my day to chance. I didn't just hope things would go well. I saw it. I felt it. I walked through it in my mind before my feet ever touched the ground. You see, most people open their eyes and instantly fall into reaction. They rush, they respond. They get pulled in 10 different directions before they've even taken a moment to ask themselves, what do I want to create today? But I never began my day that way. I began it like a sculptor facing a block of stone, knowing the image I was about to carve. I would sit quietly, sometimes with my eyes closed, sometimes just looking out the window. And in that stillness, I would see not vague hopes or blurry goals, but specific, crystal clear moments. I visualized my movements with precision, my posture, my breath, my attitude. I saw myself walking into the dojo with calm energy. I saw the way I would carry myself when someone tested me. I saw the conversations I might have, and I rehearsed, responding with control, with clarity, with power. This was not fantasy. It was mental preparation. It's the same reason a fighter shadow boxes. He's not just throwing random punches into the air. He's preparing his body for rhythm, for response, for confidence. Visualization is the same, except it sharpens your mind. The mind cannot perform what it has never rehearsed. So if you've never seen yourself strong, silent, and focused under pressure, you'll collapse the first time pressure shows up. But if you've rehearsed IT, if you've already felt the challenge in your mind and walked through it with calm, with control, then when the real moment comes, it won't be new. It will be familiar, and you will rise. Every morning, I visualize success, not just in my art, but in my discipline. I saw myself rising early, eating clean, training hard, staying humble. I even visualized the hard moments being insulted, feeling tired, losing a match, and I practiced staying balanced, composed, focused. Because mental strength is not built in comfort. It is built in resistance imagined and real. Do not wait for life to challenge you to begin sharpening your response. Prepare now. In your silence, see yourself winning. Not to feed your ego, but to awaken your potential, to remind yourself what is possible, to train your nervous system to believe, yes, I can do this. I've already been here. Whether it was stepping onto a film set, walking into a dojo, facing personal struggle, I had already walked through it in my mind 100 times. That's why I moved with confidence. Not because I knew the outcome, but because I had trained myself to remain steady no matter the outcome. And that's what I want for you. Start every day not in chaos, but in command. Sit still, breathe, visualize, feel it. Picture the strongest version of yourself, walking through every moment of the day, not avoiding problems, but facing them with courage. Because if you train your mind to see success, your actions will begin to follow. Victory is not something you chase. It's something you become first in thought, then in life. And it always begins in the silence while the world is still asleep. 6. Eat for fuel, not for flavor. Your body is your temple, your weapon, your instrument. And like any finely tuned instrument, what you put into it determines how it performs. Each morning, I didn't eat to entertain my tongue. I ate to empower my day. I didn't chase pleasure with every bite. I chose purpose. And this mindset changed everything. Most people eat with their emotions, not their awareness. They wake up tired, stressed, distracted, and they feed that state. Sugar, oil, processed food. They don't realize what you put into your body becomes your energy, your mood, your thoughts. You are not just eating for taste. You are feeding your state of being. And if you don't master that, you will walk through life with the weight of your own choices pulling you down. When I woke up, I chose foods that supported clarity, not confusion. Hydration came first, pure water, sometimes lemon, sometimes tea, not coffee loaded with cream and sugar, not energy drinks filled with chemicals. Because the moment you wake up, your body's in recovery. It's been fasting all night, and how you break that fast decides what kind of energy you carry into the world. I often ate fruits clean, natural living fuel, things that came from the earth, not factories. I focused on nutrients, not numbers, on simplicity, not addiction. Because make no mistake, your tongue can become addicted to comfort, just like your mind. And that addiction weakens you slowly, quietly. You don't even notice until your energy crashes. Your mind fogs. Your spirit dulls. Food is not the enemy, but ignorance of its power is. When I trained, when I performed, when I taught, I didn't want to feel heavy. I wanted to feel light, sharp, fast. I needed to move without resistance, to think without delay. And so I treated each bite like a decision. Will this make me stronger or weaker? If the answer was weaker, I let it go. No guilt, just awareness. Discipline in eating is not just about the body. It's about self-respect. Every time you choose fuel over flavor, you are telling your mind, I am not here to be ruled by cravings. I am here to be ruled by purpose. And let me tell you something powerful. Once you remove the clutter from your food, your mind starts to clear too. The connection between the two is deeper than most people realize. A toxic body creates a foggy mind, but a clean body becomes a clear channel for energy, creativity, and precision. That's why my morning meal was simple, clean, intentional. I didn't need to impress anyone with what I ate. I wasn't looking for pleasure in the moment. I was looking for power in the day. And yes, it takes time to shift. It takes effort to move away from habits that feel good but harm you. But that is the very heart of discipline, of choosing long-term strength over short-term comfort. So next time you wake up and reach for something, ask yourself, am I feeding my cravings or my mission? Will this give me the energy to create, to move, to let her? Will it pull me back into weakness? Remember, a warrior does not eat to feel full. He eats to feel ready. Fuel your temple with intention, and your body will serve you with excellence. Eat like your mission depends on it, because it does. 7. Speak nothing until you are aligned. Silence was my greatest teacher. Before I spoke, I listened. Before I answered, I reflected. Before I used my voice to touch the world, I made sure I was in harmony with myself. And that's why one of the most powerful habits I built each morning was simple. I did not speak until I was centered. You see, most people wake up and immediately start talking, texting, reacting, complaining, filling the air with words. But those words are often born from tension, from chaos, from emotional residue left over from yesterday. They speak without alignment, without presence. And what happens? Misunderstanding, regret, conflict. Weak energy spreads like wildfire. But a warrior knows your words carry weight. They are not noise. They are arrows. And an arrow shot from a shaky hand misses its target. That's why I trained myself to hold my tongue in the morning, not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for the power of speech, respect for the power of energy. When I woke up, I took time to align. I breathed deeply. I grounded myself in silence. I moved slowly. I observed how I felt. Was I calm? Was I frustrated? Was I focused or scattered? I didn't run from these questions. I sat with them. Because if my spirit was not steady, I knew my words would not carry truth. They would carry confusion. And the moment your words carry confusion, you no longer lead your life. You are led by reaction. In stillness, I listened not just to the sounds outside, but to the voice within. The quieter I became, the more I could hear. Thoughts that needed to be corrected, emotions that needed to be understood, goals that needed to be remembered. And once I felt clarity, once my breath, my posture, and my awareness were in sync, then I opened my mouth. Then I let my voice enter the world, not to impress, not to prove, but to speak with precision. Most people speak just to fill silence. I spoke to make silence stronger. There is a reason I was often quiet, even in public. I didn't need to dominate the room with noise. I let my presence speak. I let my discipline speak. And when I did speak, people listened, not because I was loud, but because my words came from a place of total alignment. You must understand this. Your voice is a reflection of your inner world. If you are messy inside, your speech will betray it. You will ramble. You will react. You will defend instead of declare. But if your mind is clear and your heart is steady, every word becomes a tool, a weapon, a bridge, a shield. That is why I tell you guard your mornings. Don't speak out of routine. Don't speak to fill the air. Wait, breathe, feel your center, and then speak only when your spirit is ready. When you make this a habit, something incredible happens. Your words begin to land. Your presence begins to carry weight. People feel you, even in your silence. And more importantly, you feel yourself solid, rooted, aware. A master does not speak first. He speaks last. And when he does, every word cuts through the noise like a blade through fog. So if you want to live with power, don't just train your body, train your voice. And before that, train your silence. Say nothing until you are everything. 8. Unplug from the world to reconnect with yourself. Before I connected with anyone, I disconnected from everything. No phone, no noise, no screens. I gave the first part of my day to myself, not because I was selfish, but because I knew this. If I did not connect with my inner world first, the outer world would own me. Most people wake up and immediately plug themselves into the system. They grab their phones, scroll, compare, absorb the thoughts, emotions, and lives of everyone else before they've even met their own reflection. They carry opinions that aren't theirs, insecurities that don't belong to them, chaos that has nothing to do with their purpose. That is how you lose yours quietly, daily, unconsciously. But I refused to begin my day in that noise. I knew that if I allowed the world to flood into my mind before I had created stillness, I would be reactive all day. I would carry tension in my body that I didn't create. I would chase distractions I didn't choose. So I disconnected. Even when I lived in the middle of fame, pressure, and expectation, I carved out sacred space each morning where none of that existed. Only silence, breath, awareness. You see, this world is hungry for your attention. Social media, headlines, messages, images. They don't just want your time, they want your mind. They want your identity. But you must protect your mind like a fortress. Because if you don't control the inputs, you cannot control the outputs. What you consume consumes you. What you allow shapes how you show up. If you feed your mind noise in the morning, don't be surprised when you struggle to find clarity later. If you let the world program you before you've spoken to your soul, don't be shocked when you forget who you are under pressure. So every morning, I made it a habit. No messages, no news, no external voices, only nature, breath, quiet reflection, the feeling of the floor under my feet, the warmth of tea, the awareness of how I was truly feeling, not what others expected me to feel. This habit made me powerful. It made me original, because when I finally chose to step into the world, I did so as myself, not a copy, not a reaction, not a puppet pulled by invisible strings. Even my training came after this. Even my movement came after this. Because if the spirit is not clear, the body cannot move with true purpose. It is not weakness to unplug. It is mastery. It is how you sharpen the blade before using it. You wouldn't enter battle with a rusted sword. So why enter the world with a foggy mind? You must claim your morning like sacred ground. Because if you don't, someone else will. Your phone will. Your schedule will. The world will. And you'll spend the rest of the day reacting instead of creating. So I ask you, can you sit in silence without reaching for distraction? Can you look inside without fear? Can you begin your day not with noise, but with awareness? Unplug from the world, not to escape it, but to return to it with full power. When you reconnect with yourself first, no one can disconnect you from your purpose. 9. Master the art of inner cleanliness. Before I stepped into the world, before I trained, spoke, or created, I took time each morning to cleanse not just my body, but my mind. People talk about hygiene like it only applies to the skin, but the most dangerous kind of dirt is the one you don't see, the kind that collects inside your thoughts, your emotions, your energy. So I made it a ritual to clean my inner world before I touched the outer one. You wake up carrying more than you realize. Not just the weight of sleep, but the weight of yesterday. The criticism you absorbed, the stress that lingered, the fear you didn't speak aloud. It doesn't vanish overnight. It buries itself inside your chest. It clouds your judgment. And if you don't remove it, it becomes your identity. Most people shower, eat, dress, but they never check in with the state of their spirit. They carry frustration into conversations, doubt into decisions, negativity into their actions. They wonder why their day spirals, why they react too fast, why they feel off, yet they never stop to clean the lens they're seeing through. But I knew better. If your internal state is polluted, even the most beautiful opportunities will look like threats. So each morning, I practiced inner cleanliness. I asked myself, what am I holding onto that no longer serves me? What am I still angry about that I need to release? Which part of me needs forgiveness today so I can move forward lighter? Sometimes it was guilt. Sometimes it was pride. Sometimes it was something small, an expectation I hadn't met. But I didn't let it rot inside me. I pulled it into the light. I breathed through it. I let it go. Just like you would rinse your face or sweep the floor, I swept my mind. Because clarity isn't found. It's created through conscious effort. You see, inner cleanliness gives you space. Space to respond instead of react. Space to listen deeply. Space to lead without ego and create without fear. When the inner world is clean, the outer world becomes manageable. Even your greatest challenges shrink when you face them from a calm, uncluttered mind. This habit, though invisible, was one of my greatest sources of strength because it gave me access to real freedom, the kind that comes when you are no longer shackled to your past emotions. I didn't need to pretend to be strong. I became strong by letting go of what weakened me. Let me ask you, when was the last time you cleaned your thoughts? Not just distracted yourself from them, but truly faced them, filtered them, cleared them out. The emotional weight we carry is like dust it, build slowly, silently. But over time, it suffocates our inner fire. So I remind you now, before you train your muscles, train your mind to be free. Before you pick up your phone, put down your burdens. Before you meet the world, meet yourself. Fully, honestly, gently. Release what no longer belongs. Forgive yourself for yesterday. Clear the path forward. And when you walk into the world, do it clean. Because a warrior doesn't just sharpen his sword, he purifies his soul. And in that purity, he becomes unstoppable. 10. Begin every day with a private victory. Before I ever won a tournament, before I broke a board or earned respect in the eyes of the world, I focused on winning one thing, first myself. Every morning, I didn't seek applause. I didn't look for approval. I didn't chase motivation. I created a small, personal Victoria win, so quiet, so private, that only I knew it happened. But that one silent victory was what gave me the strength to face the rest of the day like a warrior. You see, we often think of victory as something loud, trophies, success, public recognition. But I learned early on that the most powerful victories are the ones nobody sees. The moment you wake up and get out of bed even when your body resists, the moment you sit in silence when the world is calling you to rush, the moment you keep a promise to yourself that no one else will ever know about, these momentesimal and invisiblar, where character is forged. Because if you cannot win in silence, you will not win in noise. If you cannot master yourself in the quiet, you will fall apart in chaos. Every morning, I chose to start my day with something hard. Not because I loved struggle, but because I respected strength. It might be cold water on my face when I wanted comfort. It might be 5 extra minutes of stillness when my mind wanted to run. It might be a deep breath instead of a reaction. Whatever it was, I faced it. I didn't negotiate with weakness. That choice stone, in silence, gave me momentum. It told my spirit, I am in command. I will not be ruled by emotion. I will not be pulled by laziness. I am stronger than the voice that says, wait. This is what I call a private victory. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being better than others. It's about being better than the weaker version of yourself. The one that didn't want to show up, didn't want to grow, didn't want to try. And here's the truth. Most people lose their day in the first hour. They check their phones before they check their thoughts. They serve the world before they serve their soul. They lose 1,000 battles by refusing to win one, the battle of self-respect. But not me, and not you, if you choose to begin differently. You don't need to move mountains in the morning. You need to move yourself, even if it's 1 inch forward, even if it's 1 deep breath, 1 push-up, 1 promise kept. Because that one act done with discipline and presence sets the tone for the entire day. It whispers to your soul, we are not victims. We are not slaves. We are warriors, and we are ready. So I ask you, what is your private victory? What small but powerful act can you do each morning that reminds you who you are and what you're capable of? Is it writing down your thoughts? Is it finishing your stretch routine? Is it not hitting snooze? Is it refusing to start the day with distraction? Whatever it is, do it. Own it. Make it sacred. And do it before the world ever gets a chance to define your worth. Because in the silence of that private win, you become untouchable. And when you can face yourself and when you can face anything, that is how you build an unstoppable life. One quiet victory at a time. You've been taught to chase greatness in the world, to chase applause, recognition, money, speed. But I tell you this, true greatness does not begin in the spotlight. It begins in silence. It begins in the morning. It begins in the moments when no one is watching and no one will ever clap for you. That is where the real transformation happens. People ask me, how did you become so focused, so fast, so precise? And I tell them, it wasn't magic. It wasn't talent. It was habit. Quiet, consistent, deliberate habit. Before I mastered the martial arts, I mastered my mornings. Before I built a body that could strike like lightning, I built a mind that could sit still in a storm. These habits, the ones I've shared with you, are not tricks. They are not trends. They are principles. And they will not only strengthen your discipline, they will rebuild your identity. Because when you rise with awareness, move with intention, breathe with command, and speak only from alignment, you stop living like the world wants you to live and start living like a warrior. Your life is shaped not in the moments of pressure, but in the preparation that comes before it. And your morning, your sacred morning, is the battlefield where that preparation is won or lost. So stop waking up to survive. Wake up to sharpen. Wake up to align. Wake up to lead. You don't need more motivation. You need a ritual, a foundation, a practice so solid that nothing shakes it. And if you truly begin, you will notice something incredible. You No longer chase power. You become it. You no longer beg the world for direction. You move with your own. You no longer fear the day ahead. You shape it. So tomorrow morning, when your eyes open, don't just rise out of habit. Rise with purpose. Don't just react. Breathe, move, choose, lead, and above all, remember this. Silence is not emptiness. It is your greatest power, waiting to be awakened. Master your mornings, and you will master your life.